Hey, boys and girls, we're going to be going over our problem set for lesson 5 of module 6, and you'll find this on page 219 and 220 in your workbooks. Now, on the slide before this, I put that you didn't need to use the straws since some of you aren't in class right now. You could find anything, and if you just listed what the object was over here, that will work. The whole point of this was to just practice measuring to the nearest half inch, fourth of an inch, and record your measurements. So I know this was a little bit different based on the directions, so just try to do the best you can. Now, I have just some measurements and stuff that I took. Now, yours are going to be different than mine, and that's okay. Everybody's could be different. So my answers on this page will be different, but I just kind of want to show you how I got my answers. So I used my rulers to measure the different classmates' straws to the nearest inch, half inch, and fourth of an inch. And then I recorded them in my chart, and I already have my chart filled in. And it did say draw a star next to the measurements that are exact. Those you didn't have to estimate any, that they were right on. So I have stars on a few of them. So then if I go down, after I filled in my chart, it says blank straws is the shortest straw I measured. Well, mine were Karen's because hers was only an inch and it measured 1 inch. So that was my shortest. Now I have to look at my longest. My longest was Philip's and it measured 5 3/4 of an inch. To the nearest inch, it would be in 6. But then to the nearest fourth of an inch, which is more exact, would be 5 3/4 of an inch. So now I have to choose a straw from my chart that was the most accurately measured with the 1/4 inch interval. So I'm going to look in this column. And how do I know the 1/4 inch interval are the most accurate for measuring this straw? Well, I know that because that's the smallest measurement. So that's going to give me more of an exact measurement. So Eva's straw for me was most accurately measured with 1/4 inch intervals. Measuring to the nearest inch and half inch only gave close estimates, but the 1/4 inch gave the exact measurement. So that was my answer. Now, again, you're going to have different answers from this, but this is all about learning how to measure to the inch, half inch, and fourth of an inch, and then looking at that, putting those measurements in a chart, and being able to read that chart. So your measurements can be different, and you could have measured other things, and that's perfectly fine. Now, the next page is kind of blurry, where we had to label that ruler. It was hard to do on the computer, so I wrote it down and then put my answers in. So it is a little bit blurry, and I'm sorry about that. But you can see my answers better than you can see the questions. So if I look at number 2, it says Jenna marks a 5-inch paper strip into equal parts as shown below. And part A is labeled the whole and half inches is on the paper. So my whole inches are down here. 1 inch, 2, 3, 4, and 5 inches. And then my half inches are a little bit low. So that would be half an inch, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and 4.5 inches. And then if I go to B, it says estimate to draw the 1/4 inch marks on the paper strip. So I did a 1/4 of an inch, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, or 3/4 of an inch, and then 1, and then 1 1/4, or 1 1/4, 1.5, 1 3/4, or 3/4, 2 inches, 2 1/4 of an inch, or 2 1/4, 2.5 inches, 2 3/4 of an inch, and then 3 inches, 3 1/4, 3.5, 3 3/4, or 3/4, and 4 inches, 4 1/4, or 4 1/4, 4.5, 4 3/4, and then 5 inches. Now it asks us to fill in the blanks below. So 1 inch is equal to 2 half inches. So we have a half on this side and a half on this side, and that equals 1 inch. 1 inch is equal to 1/4 inches. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to that inch. So 4 1/4 inches. And then a half an inch is equal to blank quarter inches. And that answers 2. So here's 1/4, here's the second quarter, there's the half. And that's kind of like, think of it like a quarter, like 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, a dollar. The dollar would be the 1 inch. The quarter would be 1/4 or a quarter. The half inch would be 2/4. And 3/4 or 3/4 of an inch would be the 3/4. On C, it says, describe how Jenna could use this paper strip to measure an object that is longer than 5 inches. So Jenna can mark the first 5 inches, and then she can move the paper strip to line up with 0, the mark that she made, and measure the object. So you'll lay it down and then make a mark and then pick it back up and lay it right beside that mark. And then you can measure longer than 5 inches. And then number 3 is, Sari says her pencil measures 8 inches. Bart disagrees and says it measures 4 inches. Explain to Bart why the two measurements are the same in the space below. Use words, pictures, or numbers. So I've drawn this chart. Now Bart says it's 4 inches. Sarah says it's 8 inches. So 1, 2, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches. So since 2 inches is equal to 1, we know that 8 inches is equal to 4 inches. 8 divided by 2, because there's 2 halves in each one, is 4. So they would have the same amount. 4 inches is the same as 8 inches. So I know this lesson was a little bit different than what we've been doing. If you need some help, let me know. And just keep practicing using those rulers. And if your paper ruler didn't turn out just the way you wanted it, that's okay. You can just use a regular ruler and that'll do the same. So if you have any questions, let us know. Don't forget to do your exit ticket on page 221.